Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here. I am with Bronwyn Evans, who is a director with McAdam and Turnbull Realty based in Toowoomba, Queensland. And Bronwyn, we've now finished a journey together where you've now completely finished your fee maximization across your entire rent roll. And it's been quite a journey. And I just wanted to put this video together at now having you come out the other side. But let's go right back to the start. And when we first talked fee maximization, you called me and said, Darren, our fees are not enough. We're not earning enough. Things have to change. I'm ready to do this. And we went through a fee analysis together, what I believe you could actually do, which is what we went ahead with. When you were shown what those new fees were, what you could do, how did you react to that? How were you feeling?
It was a mixture, Darren, of terrified and is this guy crazy? It was a combination of those.
Yeah. Okay. And there's no secret. You are surrounded, and I've used this term so many times, you're surrounded by a swarm of cheap agents, which I see is very, very typical of Queensland agents. There's lots of them and they're very, very cheap. So at the time, how restricted did you feel that any fees or any future fees that you were going to do, how restricted do you feel that your ability to increase those was based on what your competitors were doing? What was the restriction?
Yeah, my mindset, Darren, was that we had to just do what everybody else was doing at the time. And I thought, well, we can't possibly change and not have the whole market change with us. So was it going to be a total disaster? And everybody was going to scatter to, well, our clients scattering to every other agency in town that was cheaper.
Yeah. And your fear is no different from everyone else that's confronted by this, that Darren, I can't increase my fees because my clients are actually going to go down the road to a cheaper agent. But let's talk shortly, Bronwyn, on what actually happened, because everyone fears they're going to have great damage. I know it's not true. You found out it's not true, and we'll talk about those numbers shortly. So we did some training together with the team. How were they feeling? Now, you just told me about your reaction, but what was the team's reaction? Now, they looked good to me in the training room, but when I wasn't there, what was their reaction, their feedback to you?
Well, first, Darren, they worried that we were crazy and how is this ever going to work and are they going to be looking for other jobs? But they trusted us and they backed us because we'd put all the other training behind it, because it's not just about numbers, as you taught us, and it was about backing ourselves, backing our service, making sure it was as good as it could be, and that we're providing a quality product. Now the staff could see that because they were part of that as well. So they had the same fears as us, and then they're happy to come on the journey when they could see our confidence building.
All right, so I did some training there, and now this is an FYI, everybody. We generally keep agents' management fees at a rack rate acceptable market normal. And so we didn't do any extra work on your management fees with new business or current business. If they were at your full management fee before, that stayed the same. But we added a marketing fee. We added a routine inspection fee, and that's something that a lot of agents protest with in Queensland, that you shouldn't be charging routine inspections and what's the management fee for, and we put that in place. We also put in a lease renewal fee. We also put in a outside of normal duties fee for all those niggly things, and that also included a refurbishment fee as well. And we increased your admin fee. So that was the only increase that we did, but we added a lot of other fees. So when we rolled out those fees, now it's important to know, Bronwyn, you were getting those new fees and new business right away, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. It was the new business that came in. We're just happy to pay those fees.
Yeah, and that was despite now being a big divide between you and your cheaper competitors, correct?
Correct. And they wanted our services and they were prepared to pay what it took to get us to be their property manager. Yeah. And
we've discussed this before, your growth rates didn't actually change, that what you're getting before is what you're getting now. People were still paying, correct?
Yes, that's absolutely right, yes.
And what was consistent is they wanted you before and they want you now. It hasn't changed because you're an agent that attracts people on trust. Okay, so when we rolled out those fees with your rent roll, with current clients, before we talk about your losses, what were some of the issues that you had and that you had to navigate through?
I had a few phone calls where the owners just asked quite simple questions in that they didn't understand something rather than they were upset about it. And so my heart would be beating when I was picking up the phone, and then it actually turned out to be not that bad. They just had a question or two to ask. And some others wanted to really grill me on justifying it, but overall, not too many. And my confidence grew once I'd had one of those calls, and my using the scripts that you'd given us and just tweaked into my words. That all worked, and so it really wasn't a lot of calls overall. So mostly we just had the Form 6s returned.
Yeah, yeah. And for everyone, of course, Form 6s is what they call the management agreement in Queensland. And of course, you got them back. And of course, we did a bit of work and follow up and all of those sort of things that we have to do in fee maximisation. There is rounds of phone calls that need to be made to get those agreements back. But when you actually made the phone calls to people that hadn't returned their management agreement, what did you find was the main reason why they hadn't actually returned? What was the number one reason?
They just hadn't got around to it.
It wasn't that they hate you. They just,
yeah,
they just put it in the too hard basket, the do later pile, and that was it, wasn't it? And your phone call simply prompted them to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Because a lot of them we did electronically, but some of our clients we had to mail it out. So we mailed it out with a stamped self-addressed envelope to come back. And so usually it was just, oh yeah, I haven't got around to that. Oh, I've signed that and have put it in the mail, and things like that. Yeah, because I was sort of thinking the worst as I was ringing, but it really wasn't like that. They trusted us. They'd been with us for years, and they were accepting of things go up in price. So yeah, it wasn't at half as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then my confidence grew as I realised that.
Yeah, and were there some clients that you had predicted you were going to have trouble with, but you didn't?
Yes, there were a few actually that, and they surprisingly came back really quickly. Like they were here in the first day or two, and I was like, oh wow, I really thought that person was going to object. And then I thought about it, and I thought about their rental and the great tenant they'd had for years and years, and it's like, well, okay, they've got peace of mind with us, and they just want to stay here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of your losses. And for everyone, the rent rolls that I work with, I've worked out the numbers, and on average, we see 5% of properties lost. So if you go and fee maximize 100 properties, then 5 properties is pretty normal. And in fact, Bronwyn, in your situation, you were right on the knocker at 5%. Congratulations. Now, let's talk about that 5%, because I always know the patterns with these are always predictable. Out of the losses, there is 80, 70, sometimes 90% is what we call our C-class landlords, and everyone, they're over demanding, unreasonable. They take up lots of your time. They want unreasonable rents. They're very, very focused on fee discounts. They put little to no money into the property. They've got a crap property that attracts a crap tenant, and generally a low rent property too. So do you feel that most of the loss that occurred was like that?
Definitely, Darren, definitely. There was only a really tiny number that we were surprised at or sorry that we're leaving, and the rest were like, see you later, wish I'd had the courage to do this years ago. And you could just see that through the staff as well, that all of a sudden this person wasn't in their life, and they were a lot happier, and the other clients, as a result, they had more time for them. So it was a win-win all round, even though I was worried at first. And so while we had this 5% of losses, it wasn't the main focus, because not one month did our income drop as a result of that because of the increase. So that sort of became the focus of what the income was. And so the losses,
we have to, that you guys have also been affected, like a lot of rent rolls. You've lost properties through too many properties being sold, which is indicative of the time period that we're in and what we've been through. However, looking at your numbers, Bronwyn, your rent roll was a lot bigger when we first started. And you have had, the net loss there with properties getting sold, but your income is well ahead now than what it was when we first started. And And, that's amazing. So, moving forward here, again, you had a 5% property loss. They're numbers on a page, all right? However, my guess is you probably had a 10% loss of workload. A lot of that stress, a lot of it burnout went out the door. A lot of it detoxified the rent roll. So happier staff. And my guess would be you probably had a 3.5% loss on income because those 5% of properties were all bunched up with low earning bad properties anyway. So everyone, we've got to put this in perspective, that they gained so much more and lost very, very little. And of course, there was a couple of regrettable losses in there too, wasn't there, that you really did feel that one there. And perhaps they were surprises that you weren't expecting to lose. Is that right?
Yeah, there were a couple of those, Darren, but it was so worth it. And at the time, my heart would drop for a second. But then I just kept focused on what we were trying to achieve and the income stabilizing. And now I use it as a point of difference that we don't have to have so many properties on each property manager just to try and break even. Now I can happily sell the fact that we can cap our numbers per property manager and give better service. And so now my confidence is there. We have a really quality product, and the clients will have to pay for that because it's the only way we can deliver it.
Correct. And it is very much like the Domino's pizza bar down the road that gives very cheap pizza, but you've now separated yourself from that pack of cheap pizza and become the gourmet pizza bar down the road that charges 3 times more. And there is a whole bunch of people out there that prefer service over cheap fees, of course, are now gravitating towards you and no longer want to go with those cheap agents down the road. So congratulations. So now moving on, of course, everybody, we've got to put this in perspective. If we had a 5% loss of properties and a 3.5% possible loss in fee income, I've just run your numbers, Bronwyn. In the last 12 months, you've increased your total fee income per property because, throughout that journey, there was still some properties being maximized through that. We didn't do the whole rent roll in one hit because there was a selection of owners that needed to be put on the shelf at the time, including some multiple property owners were over time. But the last 12 months, across the whole rent roll, including some that still haven't been maximized, you did 33.7% extra fee income per property, which is absolutely amazing, everybody. Of course, the average profit margin out there is 20%. Now, I don't know what Bronwyn's is, but had it been 20%, we've more than doubled it with those numbers there. And we're on less property numbers than what we were before. Very, very important to understand that there's a lot of agents out there that think to actually double your profit margin, you've actually got to go and double your rent roll numbers. But Bronwyn, you've now realized that's not true, correct?
Correct. And we don't go out chasing the big numbers. That's not our strategic business plan, Darren. It's about getting quality properties in that are profitable because we're running a business, and it's important to me that the staff are happy. We all know what this industry is like, and the staff have got to have a balanced workload. And so combined as a team effort here, everybody's happy with the numbers we've got, clients we've got, and it works, Darren. Like every single thing you taught us that would happen actually happened, and all along the way you were there with us every step of the way, and that's, I think, the difference as well, that we came to trust you and you trusted us, and we got through it together, and really, really pleased that we did. We're really pleased. That was the best decision we've made here in the business, was to work with you on this. It's been great.
So these are some numbers that Bronwyn has given me permission to share. And when we first started working together, we've worked out that you are earning $112.16 on average per property across the board. That's what your average numbers were. And you only have to look at that over a 12-month basis. And I'll just run the number here. And that's $1,345 a year total fee income. I know that's totally unsustainable. And that is very much consistent with what I see a lot of other cheap agents particularly in Queensland, are doing. That seems to be the normal. A lot of them don't realize they can be doing so much more. So over your journey now, you are now sitting at $149.95 per property per month. And that's nearly $150 per property per month, which in this case here, let's just run the numbers, times 12 is now taken it up to at $1,800. So much more sustainable than before, which is $453.48 extra per property across the entire rent roll. Very, very successful campaign there. And that said, with your new business as well, you're just getting it, and you are clearly the most expensive agent in your marketplace. And Bronwyn, you're still getting it. People don't care because, at the end of the day, they want service. And I remember I recently went to the Philippines just in the last week, and I'm on Vodafone, and now I know they're cheaper. And boy, I had so many problems. And I'm thinking, I can't wait to get back to Telstra here in Australia. I know I'll be paying a little bit more, but because I want the service. It's not about cheap fees, and property management is no different.
Well, that's right. And we don't want that sort of client, Darren, that's out there just looking for the cheapest fees and wanting to have their fees discounted, because then they're not going to want to pay for maintenance, and they're not going to want to be realistic about refurbishing the properties and things like that. They're just going to want absolute highest rent with nothing being invested back into the property. And they're not the type of owners that we want, and we won't take on new clients like that. So that all of our mindset has changed with that as well, because our rent roll was very old. The agency is 40 years old, and a lot of that stock had been here since day one. And so that is part of the reason that it was so low. So the mindset training was also about, taking on quality new business combined with sorting out what was in the rent roll as well. So it's a combined package that we've been able to put together. Okay, so you've actually been on two journeys, Bronwyn. One we've just talked about, which is your numbers and your fee income, but the other journey of transformation is you. All right. So go back to now when we first met. I remember the day, I remember the time when we were chatting. Dennis was there, Lachlan, your husband, was there. We're chatting and so forth. And just go back to that Bronwyn there and the Bronwyn you are today. What's been the biggest changes for you through this fee maximization journey? Confidence, mostly, and confidence in ourselves and in our product. I think before that we were skeptical that we were really providing a better product than anyone else, because this isn't rocket science. Aren't we all giving good service? And then I came to realize, well, actually no, we're not all giving good service. And so it was a confidence that, yes, we do know what we're doing. We do have the experience. We are good to our tenants and our landlords. It's a quality service that we provide with a smile. That's something that drives me crazy about this industry. We're not friendly enough. And so once I got that, it was the confidence and the self-belief that we do a good job and to back ourselves and know that if a new client comes in the door, they're going to be looked after. And so that's been the biggest change, I think, Darren, in us personally knowing that we're worth it, and the confidence is there to go and sell our product and sell our industry with passion, and saying, as an investor, you deserve the best quality service. As a tenant, you deserve to be respected and looked after. And I can get on that soapbox all day long now. And that's the thing that's really changed in me is
okay.
That. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you a soapbox, okay? And in front of you are 100 rent roll business owners that are all too scared to put up their fees because they believe all their owners will leave and go down to the cheaper agent down the road, and they also think they can't do it because their fees are completely restricted by what their rivals are doing. Their rivals are getting cheaper, and therefore they feeling they have to put their fees down, not up. What do you have to say to all of them that believe what we've just discussed may not work for them? What have you got to say?
The rent roll is the heart of our business because it is the asset. So we've got to protect and enhance that asset and start thinking of it like that. And property management is the best job in the world, but recruiting new property managers is really hard. We're in a skill shortage like everybody else. So I would say have the courage and do it. Back yourself. Quality property managers is exactly what this country needs. And so agencies like ours, like yours, that are providing quality service, you deserve to get quality fees, get paid what you're worth. And that's how we're going to improve the quality of the industry as a whole. We're going to lift it up and enhance its professionalism and everything that we do by actually getting paid what we're worth. Then we can pay staff what we need to, and we're growing that asset, that rent roll. And so it just makes coming to work every day that much more fun in the best industry in the world. Go for it. Absolutely go for it.
Yeah, well done. So look, everyone, if you want to explore this opportunity, have a chat about what fees are possible for you in your marketplace, and you want to explore the possibilities of increasing your income per property, getting more profit, be able to pay your staff better, cover those skyrocketing business expenses and rent roll, loan interest that just keeps on going up. If you're feeling strangled and you know that your fee structure right now is not sustainable, then get in touch with me, have a chat, book into my diary at getbetterfees.com. That's getbetterfees.com. I'd be happy to have a chat and talk about what this journey may look like for you. So Bronwyn, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And just thanks everyone for tuning in.